I was 31 years old. Successful job. Good life. And I thought I knew exactly who I was. Then a stranger sat down next to me on a plane, looked at my wrist, and turned completely white. She didn't say anything for almost an hour. But when she finally did speak, 7 words came out of her mouth that destroyed everything I believed about my own existence. My name is Nora Ellis. And the flight from Chicago to Seattle was supposed to be just another business trip. It wasn't. I board planes the same way every time. Window seat. Laptop open before we even push back. Earbuds in. A silent message to the world, I'm working. Don't talk to me. The woman who sat down in 12A ignored all of that. Not rudely. She just looked at me. And kept looking. Not the way people do when they think they recognize you. The way people look when they've seen a ghost. She was in her mid-60s. Grey hair pulled back neatly. Quiet clothes. Sensible shoes. She looked like someone's grandmother. She looked completely harmless. I was wrong about that. About 40 minutes into the flight, turbulence hit. I reached across my tray for my coffee cup. My sleeve rode up. Just for a second. The woman beside me stopped breathing. I'm not exaggerating. I heard the inhale catch. I felt her go completely still. She was staring at my forearm. At the small mark just below my wrist. A birthmark. Shaped like a half moon. I'd had it my entire life. Never thought twice about it. She looked like it had just answered a question she'd been asking for 30 years. I pulled my sleeve down. She looked out the window. Neither of us spoke for 20 minutes. Then she turned to me. Very quietly. Very carefully. Like someone diffusing something. And she said, I'm sorry to bother you. But, what's your name? I almost didn't answer. But something in her face stopped me. She wasn't being weird. She was being terrified. Nora, I said. Nora Ellis. She closed her eyes. Her lips moved slightly. Like she was doing math. Or praying. Then she opened them and asked, was your mother's name Catherine? My coffee cup stopped halfway to my mouth. Because my mother's name was Catherine. Catherine Ellis. And I had never met this woman before in my life. How do you know my mother's name? She didn't answer right away. She reached into the bag at her feet. Slowly. Carefully. And pulled out a photograph. Old. Faded. Early 90s. A hospital room. A newborn baby wrapped in a pale green blanket. A woman in the hospital bed, unconscious. And a second woman standing in the corner. Watching. I looked at the second woman. My stomach dropped. Because I recognized her. It was my mother. Younger. But unmistakably her. I flipped the photo over. On the back, in old ink. Baby girl. March 14th. My birthday. Not close. Exact. And underneath that, 2 words that made the entire plane feel like it was tilting. Not hers. The woman finally introduced herself. Her name was Dolores Vega. She had been a social worker for 32 years. Retired now. But she said there was one case she had never been able to close. One case that followed her out of every job. Out of every city. Into retirement. Into her sleep. She said, I've been looking for a young woman for a very long time. I think you might be her. She told me the story slowly. Carefully. Like she'd rehearsed it 1,000 times and was terrified of getting it wrong. 31 years ago. A private clinic outside Portland, Oregon. 2 women checked in the same night. Both pregnant. Both due around the same time. One of them was a 22-year-old named Sophia Reyes. Young. Unmarried. Alone. But she wanted her baby. She had a name picked out. A yellow nursery painted by hand. A single mother who was ready. The other woman was Catherine Ellis. My mother. She had been trying to conceive for 6 years. 3 failed rounds of IVF. 2 miscarriages. She wanted a baby more than she had ever wanted anything. Both women delivered that night. One of them left with a baby. One of them was told her child didn't survive. Which one was told the baby died? My voice came out barely above a whisper. Dolores looked at me. And the way she looked at me answered the question before she said a single word. Sophia. I felt the plane moving underneath me. But I felt very, very still. Sophia was sedated during a complication, Dolores said. When she woke up, the doctor told her the baby had been stillborn. No body. No funeral. No proof. Just a form. And a signature she didn't remember signing. She asked for a death certificate. Dolores paused. There wasn't one. Sophia didn't believe them. She said she had heard crying. A baby crying. Right after they told her the child was gone. The nurses said it was another patient. Her family said it was the medication. Her husband said grief did strange things to the mind. Everyone had an explanation. Nobody had a death certificate. And Sophia never stopped asking why. Dolores spent years piecing it together. Quiet investigation. No badges. No authority. Just a retired woman who couldn't sleep. She tracked medical records. She found former nurses. She followed money. And she kept finding the same name. The same clinic. The same year. The same night. I found something 6 months ago, she said. She reached back into her bag. And pulled out another photograph. This one was different. Taken inside a hospital hallway. Security camera style. Grainy. Black and white. A woman being wheeled out of the clinic. Holding a baby. The timestamp read March 14th. 3 hours after Sophia was told her baby didn't survive. The woman in the wheelchair was my mother. I didn't speak for a long time. Outside the window, clouds moved past. The plane hummed. Someone 3 rows back was watching a movie. Normal sounds. Normal world. And me, sitting in the middle of it. Realizing I might not know a single true thing about where I came from. Then Dolores said something that cracked me open completely. Sophia passed away 4 years ago. Silence. Cancer. She reached into her bag one final time. And placed a folded letter on my tray table. She wrote this before she died. She asked me to keep looking. She said if I ever found her daughter. Dolores's voice broke slightly. To tell her that she looked for her every single day. I didn't touch the letter. Not yet. I wasn't ready. We landed. Neither of us moved while other passengers grabbed their bags. Then Dolores stood up. She handed me a card with her phone number. I'm not asking you to do anything, she said. I'm just asking you to know the truth. Then she walked off the plane. And I sat there. In seat 12B. Holding a letter from a woman I had never met. Who might have been my mother. I called home from the terminal. Mom picked up on the second ring. Her voice was warm. Normal. The same voice that read me bedtime stories. The same voice that talked me through every bad day of my life. Nora, you land okay? I said yes. Then I said, Mom, do you know someone named Dolores Vega? 3 seconds of silence. Just 3. But they were the loudest 3 seconds of my entire life. Then Mom said, very quietly, where did you hear that name? Not, who is that? Not, I don't know anyone by that name. Where did you hear that name? I told her about the flight. The photograph. The birthmark. The letter. When I finished, she didn't say anything. I could hear her breathing. Slow. Deliberate. Like someone trying to stay calm when they are not calm at all. Finally she said, Nora, don't do anything yet. Just come home. We'll talk. And something about the way she said we'll talk. After 31 years of never mentioning any of this. Told me that whatever came next was going to change everything. I didn't go home right away. I went to a coffee shop near the airport. I sat down. And I opened Sophia's letter. The handwriting was careful. Like she was concentrating very hard on each word. To my daughter, if you are reading this, then Dolores found you. And if Dolores found you, then you already know some of the story. I want you to know the rest. I was 22 years old. I was scared. But I was ready. I had painted your room myself. I had chosen your name. Lucia. It means light. They told me you didn't survive. I never believed them. Not for one day. Not for 1 hour. I spent 30 years looking. I am sorry I ran out of time. But I need you to know one thing above everything else. You were not given away. You were taken. And I never, not once, stopped trying to find my way back to you. I love you. Sophia. I sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours. I cried until I didn't have anything left. Then I called Dolores. I read the letter. I know, she said softly. What do I do now? She was quiet for a moment. Then. Now you decide how much of the truth you want. I went home 3 days later. My parents were sitting in the living room when I walked in. Together. Which told me they had already talked. Already prepared. Already decided what to say and what not to say. Mom stood up when she saw me. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. Maybe for days. Nora. Just tell me, I said. Tell me everything. She did. Not all at once. It came out in pieces. Slow and painful. Like pulling something out that had been buried a long time. 31 years ago, my parents had been told about a private arrangement. A clinic. A young woman. Complications. A baby who needed a home. They were told everything was handled legally. They were told not to ask questions. They paid a significant amount of money. They went home with me. Did you know she was alive? Mom looked at the floor. Not at first. Long pause. But later. She didn't answer. Which was its own answer. 3 years after they brought me home, a letter arrived. From a woman named Sophia Reyes. Asking if there had been a mistake. Asking if anyone knew what had happened to her baby. Mom read it. Then put it in a drawer. Then another letter came. And another. And she put them all in the same drawer. For 28 years. Did she ever find us? Mom's face crumpled. Once, she whispered. She came to the house. My chest tightened. When? You were 7. 7. I was 7 years old. Playing in this house. And my biological mother was standing outside the front door. Close enough to knock. Close enough to hear me laughing inside. What did you do? Mom was crying now. Silently. I didn't answer. I had to leave the room after that. I sat in my childhood bedroom. Looking at the walls. The same walls I'd looked at my entire life. Thinking about a woman standing outside a door. Listening. Hoping. Going home with nothing. Dying 4 years ago still without an answer. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Permanently. Dolores had kept meticulous records. Names. Dates. Payments. She had spent years building a case quietly. 3 other families. 3 other babies. The same clinic. The same doctor. All retired now. All unreachable. But the records existed. 6 weeks after the flight, I took a DNA test. Dolores had preserved a sample Sophia gave before she passed. Just in case. She had planned for this. Even from the end of her life. Sophia had planned for this. The results came on a Tuesday morning. I opened them standing at my kitchen counter. Alone. Hands shaking. Biological match confirmed. Direct maternal line. I stood there for a long time. Not crying. Just knowing. Sophia Reyes was my mother. Catherine Ellis raised me. And somehow, I had to figure out how to hold both of those truths at the same time. A month later, I met Sophia's family. Her younger sister, Rosa. Her elderly mother, Carmen. They cried when they saw me. Carmen held my face in both her hands. She said something in Spanish I didn't understand. Rosa translated. She says you have Sophia's eyes. She says Sophia was right. She always said you were alive. I visited Sophia's grave on a warm afternoon in October. I brought flowers. Yellow ones. Same color as the nursery she painted before I was born. I sat there for a long time. And I talked. About my life. About my job. About the things I liked and the things that scared me. All the things she never got to hear. All the years she never got to see. Before I left, I said, I know your name now, Sophia. I know you looked for me. I know you never stopped. And I need you to know. Neither will I. People ask me what happened with my parents. With Catherine and my dad. It's complicated. It will always be complicated. Because they lied. And the lie cost me 30 years with a woman who deserved to know her daughter. But they also loved me. Genuinely. Completely. And I was loved. Really loved. And that matters too. I'm not at peace with all of it. Maybe I never will be. But I'm at the truth. And after 31 years of living inside a story that wasn't mine, the truth feels like the first real home I've ever had. The woman in seat 12A didn't ruin my life. She gave me back a piece of it I didn't know was missing. Sophia spent 30 years searching. Dolores spent years finishing what Sophia started. And somewhere over the middle of this country, at 30,000 feet, all of it finally found me. If you've ever felt like something important was missing from your story, you're not alone. And if this video moved something in you, leave a comment below. She never stopped looking. 4 words. That's all it took to change everything. Don't go anywhere. Because the next story is already waiting for you.